age is 34. Okay, go back. What does that mean? That there are older people that are 41, other younger people are 27, right? Right? That's what it is. Do the math. So you've got an age range of 27 to 41 people out there. They said millennials weren't going to buy homes.
I remember that show we were talking about that, and we're like, absolutely not. It was some kind of
happening.
stat, and we're like, no, we debunked that really fast.
Jacques, because what's going on here is a lot of the families who refinanced in 2020 or maybe even 19 or 18 in 2022, of course, they don't want to, they're reluctant to give up that interest rate. They're reluctant to move forward. So with that causing that huge problem, when you do get the listing, where are those families going? Like you just mentioned, are they moving into another house too?
So, it's a unique situation, and this is the same thing we've been dealing with for a while. Everybody wants to sell. I want to sell so bad. The condo complex that I was in, I had 5 or 6 neighbors come by. Please sell it. Please sell it. But where am I going to go, Jock? And that's the catch-22. So, it's going to be crazy out there. But you just got to partner yourself with someone that will find you a home. If I have a buyer that's looking for something, I will literally get on the ground, feet on the ground, knocking on doors. Hey, do you want to sell your house? Hey, do you want to sell your house? We're calling a ton of off-market sellers all the time looking for something. So there's always a solution. You just have to be creative with it.
Yeah, so, Jock, you're at Keller Williams Lakeside out in Macomb. It's a very large office. You have some of the best minds in Macomb County out there. What is the mantra right now going through your office? What's the vibe? What's everybody thinking about? What are they going to their clients with? Tell us what's going on out there.
So what we're seeing, one is we're seeing a lot of people that are paying way too much for rent. Okay, rent is at a historic high. You think home prices are high? Look at the rents right now. We're at $1,800, $1,900 for a 2-bedroom condo that used to be $1,300, $1,400. So the mantra really is finding that sweet spot to find out where you can actually break even. If you're paying rent, you're not getting any equity. And even though you think you're going to be paying too much for your house, time has showed us, even through the pandemic, that rates are even going up, but so are home values. We may not see a 20% appreciation like we saw last year, but history never, ever lies. We're always going to see a gains. It's never happening
again.
again.
If you're seeing a 5% appreciation versus the 20% that we saw a couple years ago, but that's also because people were driving that inventory, those sales prices up, but 5% is still appreciating market.
Yeah, Becky.
That's huge, Becky.
Becky, we love it because what do we say, Becky? And Becky's got the greatest line ever. It's one of the best lines ever. So, Becky, what's the interest rate for somebody that's paying rent?
100%.
100%, because you're not paying in anything.
That's a huge interest rate. That's not a good one.
I don't know. Is that higher than 6 3/4?
Yeah. So I had a conversation with a first-time home buyer, and they're nervous, skeptical. And they, I was like, well, okay, well, how are you feeling about it? We talked about all their anxieties. And at the end of the conversation, they're like, yeah, but I still think that I might want to rent because I don't want to have to go over asking. And I said, okay, then I want you to explain to me how rent has been beneficial for you. So we went over those lists. And then I was like, okay, now let's talk about how home ownership can be beneficial for you. And we went over that list. And I said, look, the one thing that is never going to change is that you're going to be investing in your future. The time that is good for you to buy is when it is right for you. And right now, you still can get into these homes because we haven't really even seen what the spring summer market really is going to just envelop and be. You can see the signs, right? It's happening, but we're not in the full madness. So we got at the end of the conversation, we made that, we got in line with what his goals were, what we could do for him, and now he actually is under contract.
Yeah, whatever side you're on, Beck, on the sell side, on the buy side, you're going to take advantage of a marketplace. This is home ownership. This is something entirely different. It's not a car.
No.
It's not some refrigerator you're going to buy and then maybe get rid of. This is completely different. As we move into our neighborhoods, we build our communities. You're always forced to pay down on this house payment. So you're paying into this asset, and at the end of the day, you're going to have it. It's going to be free and clear one day. You're going to have something that you could rent out, you can live in, you can grow your family in. So home ownership, a lot different, Jacques, than many consumer things. And that's almost the first step as we get first-time home buyers out of their situation now, whether they're renting, they're at their folks' house, wherever they're living now, get them into that mindset of home ownership and all the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're again, and Becky said this, 100% interest rate on a rent. Yes. And what you don't understand is that rental payment is so high. There's nothing to gain from it. To move into a rental right now for $1,800, and I do about 30 rentals a year, so because I do property management as well.
Yeah.
So let's say $1,800, $2,000 for easy math. You got to bring $5,000 to move into a $2,000 a month rental.
Yeah, you got first and last month's rent.
First
security
You got
deposit.
security deposit. You have
That's
your
your
first
down
month.
payment.
That's a down payment. Everybody, come on.
Yeah.
You're talking about a house that probably costs $250,000 on the east side.
that
You're
was
paying
beautiful.
$2,000 a month.
Yep. That was a beautiful way to put it.
You got to think about that.
Why do you think they're building more apartments?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
think it's beneficial for a landlord and an apartment, person that's building an apartment? Let's go. Let's go because we're going to collect $2,000 a month rent.
They say cash is trash. Of course, I'll steal that from Grant Cardone. And of course, Grant's always out there and his people are buying lots of real estate. When they get the money saved up, they buy more real estate. They can always go to these great areas. And we see that anywhere. And of course, Michigan is becoming one of these great areas. And they predict that more and more people may continue to move here over the next 20 or 30 years. Unfortunately, Becky, let's talk a little bit about interest rates. They are still at, we say, all-time lows because they are all under the national averages, somewhere in the mid-sevens. Becky, we're way under those numbers. Unfortunately, the media coverage and the consumer's impression of rates, they change often. In fact, the rates came out on Monday, then they were different and not so pretty on Wednesday, and then they got prettier on Friday. Becky, that's never-ending changing. You sort of got to keep your pulse on it. When you do find the house, consider locking in right away.
The only thing that ever stays the same in our market, like I was talking about, is change. And the interest rates change every single solitary day. But you're right, the media is going to cover things from a negative perspective. And unfortunately, as consumers, we are very reactionary. If someone's like, buy Nike or whatever, then the stock goes up and down, right? It depends. Like you have, the Fed Reserve comes up, depending on what he's saying, is going to depend on what the market's doing constantly. But you have to have a level mind all the time because the rates are going to change. But if you can get there if we can get you into a home at the perfect time on a national average, that's where you need to actually focus on it because 100% rent is 100% rent and you don't want anything to do with that.
All right, we're up against our first break. I thought, Becky, you were going to do the out on this, but that's okay. We'll take all your calls, 248-539-9797. Come on back and join us. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. Give us a call live on the show. We're up till 10 o'clock. Then there'll be sports following us. 248-539-9797. Great panel. I'm Harvey Freed, Harry Glanz, Becky Ellie, one of the top originators, and Jacques Agnew, of course, from Keller Williams Lakeside. One of those huge offices. You guys are like one of the hugest offices in Michigan, across the country. Give me a little bit of that.
Yeah, so we're the largest in Macomb County, and we just picked up an office in Caseville. So now we have Romeo, we have Shelby Township North at 25 in Van Dyke, we have Shelby Township at Hall Road in Hayes, and now we have Caseville.
You guys don't have to drive up to Caseville to show that house anymore. You call your friends over there and you get them hooked up, and boom, all of a sudden we got a deal.
Yeah, and shout out to Caseville. They have a fun little festival going this weekend. It's called the Shanty Fest. So I'm really excited to get out there and work with some of those of our fellow agents. It's an awesome area.
Sounds
great
great.
place to spend a summer.
We were talking about some inventory stuff. There's one, Boston Red Sox former slugger David Ortiz here. You know that guy, David Ortiz, Big Papi. He's got his house on the market, so if anyone wants to get down to Florida.
You got a number for me? What's the number?
Well, the number on it's 12.5 here. He bought the land. All they can tell us is he bought the land a few years back for 1.5, built a gorgeous house. And if anyone's interested in Big Papi's house, you can call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, Becky, because we are licensed in all states. We'll get you hooked up, and whether you want to buy in Miami or somewhere in Texas, we'll get you all hooked up with that.
Yeah, I actually take a lot of pride that we are a national lender, so we're able to lend in all 50 states. But when you talk to us, you don't feel that. We're very boutique at the same time. So we have a very good handle on what is happening nationally, but we're very hyper-focused, obviously, with what's going on in our backyard. So that way we can always serve our community, our referral partners, because we go where you grow. So if you have someone that wants to move to Florida, we're able to facilitate that. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that if someone wants to text me, sit across from me, email me, same with everyone in our office, we're able to facilitate how we can meet you best.
Yeah, here in Michigan, we love the I-75 corridor, right? Everybody from Michigan, when they go on vacation, they go down I-75, they stop and, we do a lot in Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and of course, Florida, which is our second best state here. Okay, Florida right now is one of the markets that is continuing to grow, appreciate, and look at just. I know we love living here. It's the middle of winter. It's cold out. All right, there are people from Michigan right now that are in their second home vacation home, or they've just moved to Florida. People are doing that. People from the East Coast to the Midwest go down there, and then from Michigan on over, usually go down to Florida, or then they go to the Southwest.
Yeah.
Or the West, California, Colorado, Southwest, Arizona. It's just the way. If you take a look at where the United States is growing and how the population changes by age, it's, again, you can't fight the math.
No.
Okay, the math is the math, and people are going where they want to spend the rest of their lives, but people are buying homes. Like we said, 34 right now is the median age of a new home buyer, which means, hey, everybody, millennials are buying homes.
It was really cool though. Like when I was in New York, I was in a room. So I just got back from New York, and I was in a room with real estate agents from across the nation: Arizona, Florida, Virginia. And just hear that all their markets are completely different. So when you're hearing the news, you're hearing it from a national standpoint. You have to make sure you're in line with someone that is very aware of what is going on in the particular area of the particular state you are looking in, because Trenton, Woodhaven is completely different than Bloomfield Hills. It's completely different than Royal Oak. It's very different from Pleasant Ridge. So we have all these micro pockets that are their own communities in our own state that we live here now. But, so when you're hearing what everyone is saying nationally, it's like, we're very in tune, and just kind of was reassuring that we are in line with what we're talking about, right? We do have our ear to the ground, and we're not putting out misinformation, because I just heard it from the horse's mouth in all states.
For all the different states out there. Hey, Jacques, let's talk a little new construction as we talk inventory. Of course, that's always filled in the gap a bit, especially after the interest rates have popped up a little bit, sort of induced by the Fed. They've come back pretty strong, and I'm starting to see even here locally, like as Becky mentions, it's all regional. I'm seeing some new construction, and I feel, and the numbers say that after a little higher induced Fed, we see more new construction picking up, and we do see some permits getting pulled here.
Yeah, so, on my side of town, on the east side, if you go from Shelby Township, Washington, Northern Macomb Township, there's houses being built all over the place.
Yeah.
We got some great builders over there, and there's some great programs. And just talking about new construction, if you're buying new construction, you can still use a normal real estate agent. You don't have to use a builder's agent. Just an FYI, because I have a lot of clients that are looking at new construction, And they don't realize that you can get representation from a traditional real estate agent. You don't have to have the builder's agent work on your behalf. It's always good to have your own representation.
Good. And
I want to
Bill-
hear about that real quick. So if someone is on, new construction, because when you align yourself with a builder, they're going to have their own lending institution. They have their own representation, right? What would be a reason why that almost would be a disservice to them if they, and I'm not knocking anyone, obviously, but there's a reason why they have their people in place, but why it might be better for them to have an individual outside person representing them.
Because, you have to see where everyone's interest is. So who represents who and who is the person that is feeding you? That's why I kind of look at it as a no knocking to any lenders out there or any new construction agents. They're all awesome, but you don't want to be fed a certain food from that person. If you want to have a certain thing a certain way, you should have your own representation. It doesn't hurt to get it. And all builders that I work with do give agents a payout.
So they cooperate freely, willingly, and they're accepting
fully
of that
willing
fact.
and able.
So I love Jacques. He's so diplomatic.
He
The
is.
word that he was trying to avoid was conflict, a conflict of interest. Okay,
I don't want
so-
gluten. Don't feed me that food.
Right. So he was trying to avoid, is there a conflict of interest? Well, anytime the same person is paying somebody for the same service that they're providing, there's a conflict. Okay, take a look at it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Everybody associates conflict with being adversarial and everything like that. No. It just means that maybe you should go ahead and have a fresh set of eyes who's representing you and solely you, that works for you. Take a look at the transaction. That's all that means.
1,000% here. I mean, not only that, you got different contracts, you got different materials going in, different locations. So you meet this one builder, and great, if you like their product, go find out what the other ones are. And that's why I think having an outside agent, Keller Williams agent, EXP, whatever it might be,
Right.
You bring your own agent because you've already built that relationship with them. They know what you're looking for. They can represent you the best possible
It can
way.
be something as small as, people say, oh, I don't need a home inspection on a new construction home. Wrong.
No, you
Ooh,
do.
I just actually had someone say
Oh,
that to
boy.
me. And I was
So
like,
wrong.
what? Yeah.
You
Yes.
have to get a home inspection. Believe it or not all builders do things right. Not saying that they do it intentionally, but things happen. Right now, there's a shortage of contractors, right? So in order to get a really good contractor to complete a project, it's difficult. So sometimes you just have, like back in the day when the newspapers went on strike, we had scab workers. So some of these contractors out there are almost like scab workers. They're just filling the void. So you really have to look at it. It's something as simple as the wrong paint color or the fixtures not being addressed right or this or that or the other. You have to make sure that you have someone represent you because, again, nothing against new construction agents, but they will always have the back of the builder, not the buyer.
Isn't it really about building your own team? I mean, we talk about that. When you go into a transaction like that, especially a higher end transaction, really any transaction, I don't care what the price is, you have to have people that are on your team that are representing you. So who are those people? You're going to have a realtor. You're going to have your lender. You might have your attorney. You're going to have your inspector. You're going to have your design people. You're going to have all of the people that are on your team, and they work for you. And they're going to tell you, they're going to whisper in your ear, hey, look I don't like this. This is some bad information. Or you know what? This is a really good deal. Let's go ahead with this deal. Don't worry about it. What are you waiting for? Let's go. This is good. I know you're fearful. I know you're having a little buyer's remorse, but let's go. Okay, you need those people that are telling you for what you need to do. All right? So that's building that team.
Well, the new construction, to his point, is it's really easy to Vanna White that property, but you have to understand that they are slapping, and I'm not saying that the quality is wrong, but they are literally cannot build these homes fast enough, right? And sometimes mistakes happen. People are human, and I've heard of someone getting a new construction and there was no subfloor underneath, and they found out because everything they walked on, it was real squishy, and they're like, wait a minute, something's wrong, so they had to completely redo those things. People make mistakes, but at the same time, if you close your eyes, if you walk into this property with someone that's closing their eyes intentionally, then they're not going to point out those things. That's the problem. You need to have someone that's literally going to point out the little itty bitty details that may not be perfect, but not 100% wrong, but just so you're aware of it, because once you're that owner, you are the owner. Once you close, you're the owner, and that is your property. And whatever someone did or did not do, you are not married to that.
That builder's reputation is really based on the fact that he's got a great the people out there. He's got his general manager out there running the properties. He's got his rough carpenters, his finished carpenters, the plumber, the heating cooling. Yeah, if the HVAC guy, the heating and cooling guy, can't come out there for 6 months, they might pick up another guy. Now, maybe the other guy's even better, but whoever it is, other woman. And at that point, again, that way you understand the differences and all the different. You know what? I'm thinking about that when I went into that thought, Jacques. Here's why you need a real estate agent, because you're probably selling your other home and it's all about timing. And you're not 100% sure when that new construction home is going to be done. And you have that great real estate agent representing you on the sale of your house. So you guys can set that closing up on the sale of that house and segue it right into them moving into their new home.
Absolutely. So, again, and another thing about the new construction thing is they have in-house lenders. I always tell my clients to get a second opinion, okay? You got to make sure that your interests are protected solely on your side. And that's then the conflict thing and all that other things. It's true, though.
He hates that word. That word will not come out of his mouth.
No, I tried lightly because I tried to, but it's the same thing I brought up on the last show I was in here. It's about the whole double dip closing
I was just
thing.
going to bring that up. Yeah.
You have to do, I believe the code of ethics is a very important thing. All you have in this industry is your reputation. There's a lot of agents and a lot of lenders out there. Now we've lost a lot. I saw a statistic yesterday, 46% and MLS has not renewed this year. We've lost thousands of agents. Thank God.
I've been waiting for this kind of market because there was just too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
You have to be able to do what's right by your client. It's not, the bottom line is not your dollar. It's your client's transaction that matters most. So it's a hard pill to swallow when we're talking about a lot of money. But the reality is you have to have an advocate for your best interest.
There you go.
All righty. Great news. The national median single-family existing home price increased 4%. That's right, from 1 year ago. So home values continue to rise here. When we come back, we'll talk all about buying, selling that dream home of yours. 248-539-9797. All righty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We're in our 23rd year plus, of course, over 30 years of Capital Mortgage Funding.
We're living on a prayer up in here.
Yeah, we are.
Love that.
Love some Bon Jovi on a Saturday morning. Let's
Well, you
go.
don't get your team together, you're going to be living on a prayer.
Yeah, you'd be hoping to dream buying a house unless you give us a call today, 248-539-9797.
Good stuff. Let's break down the house payment a little bit. I always like to, start there with it as families now. Of course, if you haven't bought a new home in a while, then you're wait a minute here. My taxes are really low on my current house. I'm going to sell. I might get into something else. Beck, I want to break into it a little bit. Most families really should keep their house payment somewhere around 25 to 30% of their gross monthly income. Of course, homeowners have additional expenses. That's part of the whole package here is getting that qualified person. I'm sorry, folks. If you're just clicking buttons, shopping an interest rate, that's going to blow up in your face. I got to continuously point that out to families. You need more information. You need more professional. You need more experience. More is better than less in most cases. But Becky, homeowners insurance can go up a little bit. We talk about property taxes as if you're buying a house that the other family had lived there for 10 years, that home will get reassessed. This is all important stuff and some other things. Checking out those association costs in other parts of payments, principal, interest, tax, and insurance, and of course, all your utilities.
It's very important to have the proper expectations set in the beginning. So it's not just enough for you to be pre-approved for a home. We are not just looking at our noses. We're also looking down the road 5 years from now. What are your lifestyle? What are you looking to do? How are you looking to grow? And your income can change, but we need to talk about what you can afford right now. So if you are not discussing what the taxes could end up being a year from now, then someone's doing you a disservice. That's always a part of my initial conversations. People do not hesitate to go ahead and co-sign for someone to get a car, but then they turn around and now that car payment is 10% over what their gross income is, and then they're wondering why they're having an issue qualifying for a home because people are so quick to buy all these cars, these leases, but that also goes into what you're overall going to qualify. And you buying a house today could affect what you're going to be able to afford tomorrow. And at the same time, it's that affordability. Can you afford my house on the taxes that I paid for the last 15 years? For sure. But can you afford your new home now that you are the owner, what the tax is going to be now that you are the proper owner? And these are the conversations that you need to have in the beginning.
So, Becky, we're going to nerd out here a little bit. I'm going to nerd out on other lenders, too.
Nerds.
And right now, what's in your mailbox, if you didn't get it last week or get it next week, are the tax assessments for the year, for 2022, which you're going to have to pay in 2023. Okay, if you did home improvements to your house, your assessment's going up. Mm-hmm. If you bought a house that, sold 5 years ago for $250 and you bought it for $375 last year, your assessment's going to go up. What other lenders will not tell you are what the future of those taxes could be, because what you're buying at it now might not be the same tax rate, won't be the same tax rate as next year. Other lenders are going to lowball you, and they do it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see somebody gives you an estimate at $50 lower because we went ahead and told you the truth. You're in for that surprise. It's going to catch up to you. You might as well get that information up front.
Yeah.
So figure it out. We're going to do right by you, and you have to talk to people that are honest and are going to give you the right info. That's why this is called the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We're going to give it to you straight. And those tax assessments, they're either sitting on your kitchen counter right now or in your mailbox, or they're going to show up next week. Well, so, come on, Harvey, right?
They show up no matter what. I like those property taxes show up on July 1st and December 1st in your mailbox. And Harry, you make a great point there. Now, this increase in property taxes, it is cap, part of the 1995 Proposal A here. And if any of you born in 1995? Me and you, Harry, were.
Thanks.
The Proposal A, of course, gave the homestead exemption form. Now the property's being reassessed. Now, once you're reassessed, those property taxes can go up to a maximum of 5% per year or closer to 3.2% right now, whereas inflation. So understanding it is important. Again, budget yourself for the future. And whether you have an escrow account, that might go up a little bit. So put a little money aside just in case your escrow comes up a little short.
Yeah, we're having that with those conversations. It's not a scare tactic, but it's very important to be educated, and knowledge is free, and we're here to help assess you in the future because you don't know what you don't know. And if someone is giving you an estimate with artificially deflated taxes just to make it look like you have to bring a little bit less money to the table because they know you're calling 14 different places saying, what's your rate, what's your rate, what's your rate? They're going to give you that teaser information and then say, oh, well, I didn't have the proper tax information, so XYZ is going to change. At Capital Mortgage Funding, we are anticipating, we are not reacting, so therefore we're making very educated decisions, and we're comfortable and we're confident.
I'm already getting aggravated with that. I'm already because you
Because
could
it's
just
true.
I'm just getting so aggravated because the lack of quality information out there just aggravates me. Anyways, what doesn't aggravate is me. My cousin Debbie just called. She says Jacques, or she texted me. I like Jacques and Harvey's voice. I don't know what that means, but that's just what it means.
Oh, well, I like that.
We got
Shout out to
great
her.
Don't be
radio
hating on
voice.
me.
Jacques, let's go with your family because you walked in here and I knew you got some young kids at home and it's all about that. Let's talk about home ownership. Part of having that dream, holiday celebration, life happens in that house. That's the
absolutely.
part that I always step back with families. I'm like, slow down here. Wait a minute here. This is where you're going to live. So drive there tonight. If you made that offer last night, it was accepted. Drive through that neighborhood all day today. I bet there's a few kids outside today at 40 degrees plus. I think that's what home ownership's always been about to me. Besides the fact that, of course, you can have some tax savings if you up to $750,000. You can have property tax deferred also off your income. It could be a rental in the future, appreciation, building equity, building communities. Give me a little bit about that love and all those family experiences at home.
Yeah, so if you go from a rental community, and again, there's nothing wrong with living in a rental community, but there's a lot of turnover. It's hard to have. I rented for a while before I bought my house, and it's hard for when the kids find a friend and then the friend ends up leaving because that's what they do. You come in and you rent for a little bit, and then you move on. Homeownership for my family was nice because we have feet on the ground. We have roots planted.
Yeah.
We have the local community around us. There's a great school across the street. And even though my children go to a private school, it's still nice to take a walk through there to see all the kids. We go trick-or-treating. You say hi to all the friends and the family members. We walk the neighborhood. I do a lot of door knocking. So I'll walk my neighborhoods and be dropping off flower seed packets for all the new homeowners in the area just to say hello. And it's good to have that camaraderie in that community, to have those experiences with the family members.
Is that your thing? You're the seed guy?
I drop off seeds. I drop off cookies. I'll drop off flags. Yeah, I like to pop by and make myself visible in the
Well, you
community.
didn't know it's Jacques Appleseed guy, not Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah.
This is
That's
true.
a French apple seed.
Yeah.
It's Jacques
This is true.
Appleseed.
I'm planting the seeds of home ownership.
That's right. Good.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, we were in the
That's
neighborhood
right.
last night. One of our friends took us over to see his sons and his daughter-in-law's new baby, their beautiful baby. And we're in the neighborhood, and what the best thing they like about their house is they have all their friends and our neighbors, and they love the neighborhood. And as an testament to you, what you said, it's beautiful. I mean, you like that young family moving into a neighborhood, other young families, neighborhoods turning over a couple times, and it's good. School district's great. Everything's great about it. Nothing wrong with it.
It cost Harry a couple goes out tonight. I'm not going to go out tonight. $150 for dinner. I mean, it really is almost that. If you leave your house, and of course, this isn't if you have to pay the babysitters and stuff. It's probably $150. Break that down in a mortgage payment and stuff. Buy that house. Hurry up. Get more smart
What are you saying?
people.
Buy the house and carry in dinner? Is that what you're saying?
Carry in the
Yeah.
dinner. You can order a pizza. Yeah.
Carry
I
dinner,
mean,
or
hey,
you learn how to cook. God forbid you learn how to cook. You cook with your wife or your husband or your significant other and have the kids involved. It's fun there. So there's another thing that we haven't discussed yet. It's tax refund season, right? So
Yeah.
I brought this up on the podcast the other day. Do not take that tax refund and walk into Somerset Mall. Okay, you don't need a new pair of Louis. You don't need them. I promise. They look cool. The red bottom high heels are awesome, I guess, for Instagram. But the reality is save that money.
I like those shoes. Christian Louboutin. I
Yeah,
like those.
they're
sweet.
great.
What are you
but-
talking about?
But until you have the extra disposable cash to do something like that, you got to reprioritize your focus, and home ownership will allow you to have those things because you'll have equity. You'll have this investment that you're funding every single month will give you a return down the road. So, tax season is a great time to get your refund and apply it towards your down payment.
What's the only deduction that you're allowed to take? Home mortgage interest up to $750,000.
Yep.
Okay, so if the government's your partner, which they're partners on us in very few things, or if they're a partner in home ownership, why not take advantage of that, right?
Absolutely.
So break it down for you. If you have a house payment of $1,000 a month, and your interest, you can take 33% of that, write that off. If you're in that bracket, by the way, CPAs, accountants, tax people, don't kill me on this. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to make a point that you are getting an advantage of buying a house where you don't have that advantage buying rent or paying rent.
1,000,000%. And then it's also a time to recalibrate your finances. If you're a self-employed borrower and you got kind of hit pretty hard in 2020, recouped a little bit 2021, what you're going to write off on your taxes in 2022 is going to determine what you can afford now. So get in a conversation with a lender because you don't know what you don't know, and let's assess what you need to show on paper, because obviously the tax code does favor self-employed buyers, even real estate agents. You guys are independent contractors. You can write off more than what a W-2 person is, because you have a standardized deduction. So these are the times that you have to have the conversation. I have a client right now, self-employed, buying a new construction home. It was supposed to be done in January. It's now going to be done in April, but it came at a beautiful time because they're able to recalibrate their taxes and what they're going to write off to ensure that we have a payment and income levels that they can sustain, they can afford, and they feel comfortable with. And that is what's key, but it's being in line with people that are smart enough and educated enough, and they're going to lift up that wool over your eyes to bring your those things to your attention, because people just don't know what they should be doing and the conversations they should be having.
Get some tears in my eyes whenever I come back from vacation here. It only takes me usually a few days to slip right back into my horrible craziness sometimes.
But you said days. I've got the under on that.
Yeah, I might have been a couple hours.
Under.
But just watching Channel 7 Action News last night, and great story. I don't know if you saw that Cochran House in Detroit. It just opened my eyes up to so many different opportunities. And it was a couple ladies that in Detroit, and if you guys are listening, they can give me a shout out next week. But what they did was they rehabbed a house right down in the city. It was within an eye shot of Comerica. Really cool stuff. They made this Airbnb. They're doing events there. So there's lots of different ways to enter into real estate. Again, whether you're on the buy side, selling it, if you want to become a home flipper, okay, you can do that. You could be a home. You could buy it as an investment property. You can live there for your house and change your family. So it's just different ways to get into the community and give back a little bit. So a really cool story last night. I love when I can turn on the TV and watch something really cool about our local community. This is the place. I tell you, I've been all around the country. To me, this is my home. I think if anyone's listening to the show, definitely consider home ownership. Give us a call, Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, and we'll definitely be hooking you up. All right, we got some calls coming in here in a little bit, 248-539-9797. We are going to go up. Did that call just drop? That way too long. All right, we'll go to this break first, and I'll tell you what, keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. When we come back, all of your calls. All right, welcome back to the show. We are broadcasting live till 10 o'clock. Of course, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 23rd year plus. Always giving you great information on buying, selling houses. Jacques Gagnon, Keller Williams Lakeside.
Was the lead-in, was that Journey?
Yeah, this is Journey.
Yeah,
Okay,
South
so-
Detroit.
Okay, so that line really bothers me.
My dad loves that line. South Detroit.
Well, everyone
there is no
screams
South
in
There's
the
no
Detroit.
such
he
thing
says.
as South Detroit, and I get crazy. I love the song, but I get crazy when
Yeah.
obviously they're not from Detroit.
Yeah.
There is no
Your
South
dad and I
Detroit's a
would-
river.
my
okay?
dad and you would have a great time discussing that.
I can't. Oh my, South
We're
Detroit.
referring to Windsor. They're actually referring to Windsor, which is
Yeah.
fine.
All right, killing me with that line.
All right, well, hey, we're going to take your calls in our last segment.
It's fun to scream, though.
539-9797. You know, these people predicting things. I pulled up a whole sheet last night of all the predictors out there. Here's one, Selma Hepp, chief economist of CoreLogic. I don't know if she's ever closed on a house before.
Oh, here we go,
Mortgage
Harvey.
rates will moderate in February as the economy shows signs of weakening and inflation has taken a turn in favor of the Fed target range. All right,
That's
maybe
not true.
I don't
That's
know
not
about
true.
that.
I was on a call yesterday with an economist from the Mortgage Bankers Association, and right now interest rates have ticked up a little bit. That's because inflation, which drives mortgage rates. Nothing else drives rates other than inflation. The fear of inflation was out there. It seemed to be coming down more than it actually showed last week. So they're going to be continually raising the rates incrementally, maybe a quarter, maybe a half. But you can't predict, and I don't like predictions. It's here. A little analogy. You want to go to Florida on vacation. You look at the 10-day forecast. It says it's all clear. You get down there, what happens? First 3 days it rains. Okay, it's what's going on in the economy right now. You can't really predict it. Will inflation slow down? Yeah, it'll slow down. It always does. But how long does it take? And if you're waiting for the optimal time to buy, you're waiting for that special interest rate, you're going to wait. You're going to wait. Other people are going to get the home. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. And then 6 months later, you're going to say, we should have, it was February and we should have pulled the trigger in February. That's what's going to happen, everybody.
Becky, you want to dive into some programs here? I always love talking about. We offer every program.
Was that like a funeral march? Did I just give a funeral
No,
march?
no, you were
And were
fine
you
with
killing me or what? What are you doing?
He just shut you
Well,
out.
I want to talk about
It was quiet.
Well spoken.
You
well
guys are
said.
quiet.
You're the boss.
That doesn't mean I
Well
know
said,
anything.
Harry. Well said. Becky, we have so many programs. I'm telling you, back, I have trouble keeping up on them. The Borrower Smart Freddie Mac program that we got, Home Possibles, FHA, conventional, VA. We specialize in all the government programs. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, of course, we are powered by. We offer everything. We're a top 10 lender in the country. We're like in the top 5 in FHA and VA every year, USDA loans. Okay, this is why you want to come to us. We'll put you in the right program. But back with all these programs, there's so many opportunities for family, and I think that's one of the first steps is understanding that you can get in with maybe 0 down, maybe 3% down, FHA 3.5% down. All these things are out there for you.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm going to circle back to what Harry was saying about the rates because I do want to say something about that just real quick. So their interest rates and they're changing. They are ever changing. But what's happening is you have people like, oh, I have this great rate. Good for you. You secured a great rate. So now what they're looking at is I still need cash. So I want to pull money out. So now they're venturing to home equity lines of credit. And you're seeing these interest rates because someone showed me one and it was like 10% on a home equity line of credit, but they have 4% on their primary, but they want to take a $250,000 HELOC at 9%, and they have $50,000 secured on their 4%. I was like, look, or their 3%. I was like, look, that math makes 0 sense. We need to have a real life conversation because you taking out $250,000 at 9% just because you want to hold on to $50,000 at 3% is the silliest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So we're having a conversation actually after the show because these are things that are happening because home equity line of credits, car loans, those are directly tied to what the Fed is doing. Mortgage rates, like Harry was talking about, is directed towards inflation. So you're seeing these nominal adjustments, not these major adjustments that you're seeing for short-term financing like credit cards and things like that.
You got to look at that blended rate. It's
Yes.
blended. It's what's
Yes.
blended.
But people don't know what they don't know. And so that's the point is like you have to have real life, slow it down conversations and don't get caught up in getting pushed with the current of what everyone else thinks you should be doing because it's situational. Everyone's situation is different. In that situation, a home equity line for sure would not make any sense.
All right, dating back to April of 1971, the 30-year interest rate averaged 7.8%. We're
love
about
that.
1% lower than that right now
I love that
Yeah.
stat.
Yeah.
I love that stat.
since 71.
So now about the programs. I want to put this out there as boldly and as confident as I can. You do not have to have 20% down to buy a house, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a repeat buyer or a 5-time buyer, you do not need to have 20% down. I still hear that all the time. It's bananas. Okay, so there's that. We have programs where you can actually get a grant, meaning that you do not have to pay it back, and you do not have to be a first-time home buyer for that as well. There are qualifications. There's sometimes income limits. We also have a grant program that if you are a first-time home buyer, you can have someone that's not a first-time home buyer come on the loan with you. And if you're currently living in a census tract, you can get up to $7,000 of money that you do not have to pay back and buy a home wherever you want in the state of Michigan. These are things that not everyone can offer on top of MISDA. Again, if you're buying in a targeted area.
Don't slow her down. Keep going.
You
Keep
do
going.
not
Slow
have
her
to
down.
be in a first-time home. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer to capitalize on these things. So you need to make sure that you're with someone that is not just selling, as Harry likes to call it, the soup du jour, right? I'll have that, whatever it is, right? People sell what they're comfortable with, but it's not cookie cutter. My mortgage situation and my mortgage experience is going to be completely different than Jock's, than Harry's, and everyone else that we're talking to. You cannot get caught up in your cousin's brother, sister's dog that bought a house in 2020 and expect the experience and the rate and every situation to be exactly the same. You just can't. Everyone has to be curtailed to your individual financial needs.
Jack, do you got any buyers right now or sell listings right now you want to talk about here? We're getting into our last little segment of the show here. So maybe something you want to throw out there.
So I have a new buyer. She's going through a life change, VA, and she is moving from West Branch. It was a referral, a referral from one of my past buyers, and she's looking for something, VA loans, which are the whole idea of a VA loan to a lot of listing agents or sellers is a no-go. They say no or they don't accept it. If you look at most of the listings on the MLS right now, they don't offer VA. So
It's ridiculous.
a lot of
Those are the
agents-
ones
I
they
get fired
should
up
offer
about that.
first.
I get
That
fired
one
up.
ticks me off. Keep going.
So what I have to do is I literally have to call each listing agent individually and say, hey, would you entertain a VA? Just like an FHA buyer.
Yeah.
Would you entertain this? Would you entertain this? You have to keep your mind open with these things because the VA loans are actually a great loan. They really are, and they're assumable. If you didn't know that.
and they're
they
for
are.
the people that served our country. That part really gets
That
me.
part too, and then if you're coming into an appraisal issue, they notify you in advance. There's so
Yeah.
many amazing benefits that the people that have their right to use those benefits, you need to make sure that you're entertaining that. And I love the fact that you call and say, why? Why are you not entertaining these offers? And if it's over a handrail, let's talk about it.
Yes, I know a few agents that will just run the MLS FHA offered or not offered. If it doesn't say it on the listing, they won't show the house, and that's doing a disservice to not only the agent itself but also the client. More importantly, and I go back to the whole
And to the seller.
and to the seller, right? So you have to keep an open mind, and if you are an FHA buyer or a VA buyer, make sure your agent's doing the extra work. It's working with FHA and VA is more work for the agent. But you know what? At the end of the day, they're great programs for buyers. And the down payment assistance program, I want to touch on that really quick. I do work with a lot of renters, and we turn them into home buyers. Awesome programs out there. Some really, really good programs. You don't need 20% down. You can get $7,500 to $10,000 depending on the program. This is a MISHDA thing. And you can really obtain that dream of owning a home. If you're going to rent a place, you're not renting your dream home. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
So you got to get it out of your mind that you have to buy your first home has to be your dream home. It doesn't. It has to check the boxes that are required. If you're going to settle for a rental, maybe lower your expectations on the first home you're going to own and build that equity right away.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit a home run on it. Just find something that works for you because if you're selling for a rental, why can't you settle for your first home?
And you're investing in yourself, too. And you know what? I'm sitting back like a proud parent. There's a word, kvelling. I'm kvelling. Look it up. I'm very proud of you guys because when I listen to Becky and her passion and her knowledge, and you, Jacques, you want to do the right thing by everybody. You're a great guy. But it's your knowledge and Harvey's passion and knowledge for this industry, I'm telling you, is second to none. All right, we go all around the country. We are blessed to sit around with a bunch of people, and you could tell in about 2 seconds who knows what they're talking about or who's faking it. They're faking it to make it. And listen, after 35 years almost of doing this, I'm very proud of the fact that the people that we bring on this show to give everybody out there the honest, knowledge that is going on right now in the industry, because it'll change next year or the year after. It was bad in 2006, 7, and 8, but it doesn't matter. We're talking about right now that we're still in it to make sure everybody gets the proper information. I'm just proud of you guys. I just love
I'm proud of you, Harry. Thank you for even saying that.
I'm proud of you guys. You guys do a great job disseminating accurate versus inaccurate information. And that is the key. You got to have proper information.
Hey, Beck, we got a couple minutes left. Let's dive into. We got some mortgage changes about to happen in the industry. Okay, these are for all the mortgage people out there. Of course, you guys know it's all coming. About a 2-week window here where loan level pricing adjustments. I don't want to use all these crazy slang things, but your ratios, your debt to income ratio, that's going to matter. Your credit score is going to matter even more coming up in about 2 weeks. That's why, again, if you're dealing with that inexperience, you might want to hurry up and get over to Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, no cost at all, no obligation. Give us a call, find out what the differences are.
Yeah, what's happening is they're gonna tighten things up a little bit, and so when you can't just come around, what's your rate? No, you cannot do that. You never could do that because there's so many things that go into the rate. Is this home a condo? What is your credit score? How much you're going to putting down? And the reason why we brought up you do not need 20% down, because with these changes, it actually is going to benefit you to actually not put as much down, even if you have an 800 credit score. It just everyone's situation is different. But if you're trying to spread yourself a little bit thin and you have too many car loans out there, that's going to be an issue if your overall debt going out is exceeding these certain limits coming in, and you need to make sure that you're having the conversations ahead of time, because it's going to get tight real quick.
Great stuff from Becky Alley. Of course, you can find Becky Alley at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Of course, she'll offer you the best service. Or just, if you can't get in touch with Becky, just call me or Harry or somebody over there at Capital.
You can always reach me. People know that.
There you go. Easy enough. Yeah. Jacques Agnew, you're fantastic. Keller Williams Lakeside, thanks for joining us as always. Always a great guy to work with. Give him a call. He's always available also. So we see Pat Caputo coming up next. He's got a lot to talk about. We've got spring training coming up soon. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll see you next Saturday.